The courtroom hummed with hushed whispers and the rustling of papers, the air thick with tension. Lawyers in crisp suits shuffled their notes, their polished shoes clicking sharply against the floor. At the heart of the room, Judge Harris sat elevated on his bench, his stern expression commanding authority over the proceedings. Known for his sharp tongue and no-nonsense attitude, he scanned the room with an experienced gaze. Suddenly, the heavy doors creaked open, and all eyes turned. A teenager stepped inside. Ethan, just 17, gripped a battered briefcase with trembling hands. His oversized blazer drooped awkwardly over his slim frame, an obvious contrast to the seasoned professionals surrounding him. He hesitated briefly, scanning the unfamiliar setting, then cautiously made his way toward the defendant's table. Judge Harris arched an eyebrow, his lips curling into a smirk. "And who might you be?" he asked, his tone laced with condescension. "Lost on your way to the school debate club?" A ripple of laughter spread through the courtroom. Ethan swallowed hard but stood firm, his voice steady despite the humiliation. "I'm representing my mother, Your Honor." For a moment, silence gripped the room. Then, murmurs erupted. A teenager representing someone in court. The skepticism was thick, the underdog story beginning to unfold. The narrator's voice softened, pulling the audience into Ethan's world. Life had been anything but fair to him. A sudden eviction had torn his family from their home, the result of a legal battle with a powerful landlord. With no money to hire an attorney, Ethan made a radical decision. He buried himself in law books, studying relentlessly through sleepless nights. Fueled by love for his mother and an unshakable sense of justice, he was here today to fight for her and for their future. Standing at the defendant's table, Ethan's hands no longer trembled. He held his ground under the weight of judgmental stares. Across the room, the landlord's attorney, a silver-haired man radiating confidence, smirked. It was clear he saw Ethan as nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Judge Harris leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. His tone was sharp, laced with disbelief. "Mr. Daniels, are you telling me you think you can handle a case this complex without a single day of law school?" The courtroom chuckled again, but Ethan remained unfazed. "Your Honor," he began, his voice steady yet respectful, "the law allows anyone to represent themselves in court. I've spent months preparing for this, and I'm ready to proceed." A flicker of surprise crossed the judge's face, but he masked it quickly. "Very well, let's see what you've got." Ethan stepped forward. His nerves faded as he delivered his arguments with clarity and precision. He outlined the timeline of events leading to his family's eviction, citing statutes and precedents with a calm, measured tone. At first, the courtroom listened politely, but doubt lingered. However, as Ethan began connecting dots no one else had noticed, heads started nodding in acknowledgement. Even Judge Harris seemed taken aback, leaning back in his chair, tapping his chin as Ethan exposed inconsistencies in the landlord's claims. Then came the bombshell. Ethan presented evidence suggesting that a critical document submitted by the landlord had been forged. The room fell into stunned silence. The opposing attorney fumbled for words, unable to counter Ethan's airtight argument. Judge Harris, once amused, now regarded Ethan with a mix of curiosity and respect. The teenager had shifted the tide, leaving everyone wondering what revelation would come next. Ethan's voice rang strong and unwavering as he held up a document, its edges frayed from handling. "Your Honor," he said, locking eyes with Judge Harris, "this is the eviction notice the landlord used to remove my family from our home. But if you examine it closely, you'll notice something troubling." The courtroom leaned in, curiosity spiking. Ethan pointed to a signature at the bottom of the page. "This signature," he continued, "belongs to a notary who retired 2 years before this document was even dated." Gasps rippled through the room as the weight of his words settled in. The opposing attorney, once smug and composed, paled. He stammered, flipping through his notes in search of a rebuttal, but found none. Ethan pressed forward, pulling out meticulously gathered records. "Here is proof of the notary's retirement date and clear evidence that this document was fabricated to force us out unfairly. The landlord not only acted unlawfully, but with full intent to deceive this court. Judge Harris leaned forward, his stern expression softening slightly, perhaps even into admiration. "This is a serious allegation," he said, his tone measured. "Let's see if you can back it up." What followed was an intense, rapid-fire exchange. Judge Harris tested Ethan's knowledge relentlessly, posing question after question about legal procedures and case precedents. His intention was clear. He wanted to see if Ethan's brilliance was more than just luck. Ethan answered each question with confidence, citing laws and rulings as if he had spent years in a courtroom. When the questioning ended, silence fell once more. Judge Harris removed his glasses and leaned back, nodding slowly. "Impressive," he admitted, his voice carrying newfound respect. "Mr. Daniels, you may have a future in law after all." The courtroom remained still as Judge Harris cleared his throat, glancing between Ethan and the landlord's attorney. After reviewing the evidence and hearing the arguments, he declared, his voice unwavering, "It is clear that this eviction was not only unjust, but based on fraudulent documentation." A murmur ran through the crowd, quickly hushed as the judge continued. The court rules in favor of the defendant. The landlord is ordered to compensate the Daniels family for damages, including wrongful eviction and emotional distress. For a moment, the room stood frozen. Then, applause erupted. A wave of emotion filled the air. At the defendant's table, Ethan's mother covered her face with trembling hands before pulling her son into a tearful embrace. "You did it," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You really did it." As the courtroom began to empty, Judge Harris stepped down from the bench, approaching Ethan. The usual sternness in his face had softened, replaced with something else. A hint of a smile. "Mr. Daniels," he said, extending his hand, "I owe you an apology. I underestimated you. And I was wrong to do so. You've shown intelligence, dedication, and an understanding of the law that many trained attorneys lack." Ethan shook his hand, a mix of pride and humility washing over him. "I believe you have a gift," Judge Harris continued. "If you're interested in pursuing law, I'd be honored to mentor you. The world needs people like you in this field." As Ethan and his mother stepped out of the courthouse, the weight of their victory settled in. For the first time in months, hope gleamed on the horizon. Ethan glanced back at the towering building behind him, silently making a promise to himself. One day, he'd return, not as a nervous teenager, but as a lawyer, fighting for justice.
Wow.
What a story, right? Ethan's journey reminds us of the power of perseverance, love, and standing up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you. If this story inspired you or gave you chills, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your friends and family. And hey, if you want more powerful, emotional stories like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. What do you think about Ethan's incredible courage? How would you react in his shoes? And if you enjoyed this story, give it a big thumbs up. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that hearts and inspire change. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.